All right. I'm KJ,
I'm Taryn.
and welcome back to our vlog. This is part two of our pregnancy journey. Um, so, if you all recall, we stopped off on part one, getting to hospital B. So, if you want to see that video, I will make a little link right up here for you to see. Just click on that, and you can watch the beginning of our journey. But to begin part two, I will let my wife start with hospital B.
All right. So it's about 3 a.m. and the ambulance is taking me to hospital B. So we get to hospital B, and coincidentally at the same time I pull into with the ambulance into the hospital. He pulls up with the car at the hospital at the same time. I'm literally getting rolled out the ambulance, and I see our car going down the street to go park. So our timing was perfect per usual. So they give me to hospital B, and they take me to the first part, which is they basically just like see what's going on with me, take my vitals. They basically read the chart to see what happened in hospital A. They saw I got medicine and stuff like that. So based off of the blood work that they gave me, um, they also had to give me a COVID test. Um, of course, they let you know, you can refuse a test, but if you refuse it, they're going to treat you like you have COVID. And so I wasn't trying to experience that. You know, it's really not worth it. The test itself is a little annoying, but you just gotta do what you gotta do. So I took the test, came back negative, thank God. So we were good to go with that. They did not test my husband. They just checked his temperature. They didn't test him. I guess tested me because I was patient. They were gonna be, coming in contact with my blood work. They wanted to make sure I was negative, which is fine. Whatever. Their house, their rules. So, um, okay. So what else happened after that? Um, Test me for COVID, and they ran my blood work. And at that point, that's when the doctors came in and said that I have um, preeclampsia. But based off of my blood work, they were concerned of how severe my diagnosis was. Pretty severe, like it was pretty bad. I can't really remember what was.
There was an X-ray done
Oh yes, I
at
did. Yeah,
hospital
I did
A,
chest X-ray. Yes.
and they found fluid around her lungs,
Mhm.
which of course had them concerned. So, but we didn't know about that part until we got to hospital B.
Mhm.
Um, so, along with the fluid on her lungs, they also told us that she had a lot of protein in her urine, which was a sign that her liver was failing, and they were, of course, still concerned with her blood pressure being high, and then they added on the fluid around her lungs. So those were the main things that they were watching, and they said those three things together basically added up to severe
Severe
preeclampsia.
preeclampsia.
Um, so they wanted to admit her and kind of just take things step by step because they were basically saying once you get to this level, there is no going back.
Mhm.
So there were different treatment plans that they were saying that they were going to try to do, but it was going to be a fluid type situation.
Before they admit me to the hospital, they gave me a shot, and this was basically a steroid shot that would help the baby's lungs develop, just in case they had to do an emergency C-section. Now at this point, I'm at 26 weeks. So if you look up the baby survival for 26 weeks, she had a 90% chance of surviving at this point. Um, but with the shot, it also gave her an extra umph. Now they said they gave me the shot just in case, um, worst case scenario. But of course, worst case scenarios don't happen to me, so I'm just like, whatever, give me the shot. It's just another shot. So the shot was good for 7 days. So to because they didn't know how severe, which way it was going to go, because severe preeclampsia, I could have suffered a stroke with everything that was going on. So to offset this, to treat this, the doctors said, we're going to put you on magnesium for 24 hours to help the situation out. Now with magnesium, you're going to feel hot, like you having hot flashes. You're going to feel sluggish, like you cannot eat food. You're on a 24-hour liquid diet. Yay. and you're going to need a lot of help because you're going to be out of it. Like you're not going to be able to do things yourself. So they put me on the magnesium, um, and that whole day I was out of it. They also gave me a catheter. So if you guys remember in the first video when a doctor asked us to fill up that lovely bucket of urine for 24 hours to bring it back, and of course I didn't want to do that because I had to go to work. Well, they was gonna get my urine one way or another. So basically, the catheter is basically something that's stuck up there where you pee at.
The urethra.
Thank you. And the tube, your urine will just automatically come through the tube and go into the bucket. And they collect it for 24 hours to look at your protein in your urine. So they was gonna get it one way or another. So that wasn't fun. That was not fun. Um, but you know you gotta do what you gotta do. So they do that. I could not feed myself. I could not like. I could kind of like. I couldn't like hold a cup to drink water. I needed help. So my husband basically was feeding me like Italian ices all day. I had, excuse me. I drank like broth, like soup broth, like beef and like chicken and a vegetable. You know, try to switch it up a little bit. And I drink water.
It had to be warm though.
Yeah, if it's cold, forget it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the microwave was broken. So if I ordered it, I had to drink it right then and there. So yeah. And my mom came. She helped out as well. Um, at this point, we had all hands on deck because the situation was an emergency. So we had our family and friends really help us out with his son and with helping us out in the hospital.
So, um, because COVID-19 is going on, Hospital B's policy regarding visiting was completely different than Hospital A's. So, Hospital B, they allowed me to be in the triage area. The first room that they put us in was a regular, I would say, like maternity area. Um, but the head doctor of the um, high risk pregnancy department, she had us moved to the labor and delivery wing
Because I was reacting well to the magnesium.
right.
Yes.
And so, but because everything was really touch and go, they didn't want a seizure or a stroke or something like that to happen. And then there's other issues that can happen with preeclampsia, like placenta abruption, which is basically when a placenta um, comes off of the uteral wall real fast, like suddenly. They didn't want any of that to happen, so they moved us to the labor and delivery room, um, and we waited there. So in the first room that we were taken to at Hospital B, it was just me that was allowed in there. But when we were in the labor and delivery area,
That's where I had the magnesium
that's where she got the magnesium.
for 24 hours.
They allowed a second visitor,
Which one was my mother?
which was the mother. Now, usually the way they explain it, it makes it seem like you can only have one visitor at a time or two visitors at a time. But what they really mean is
One visitor and that's it.
right. And
The
so
whole time.
when it was me and my wife in the first room, it was just me and my wife. But then when they moved us to the second room and my mother-in-law came down, then that was like, okay, well fine, it's just you and your mother-in-law. But we couldn't switch. So like I had family that wanted to come down and sit with her and stuff like that, and friends, and she had people that wanted to come and see, and it was just like, no, it's almost like they gave you a list, and you basically just fill out on this list who can see you, and that's it, just based off of where you are in the hospital. It's understandable because COVID-19 is going on, but it just makes it feel more isolating because your support system is really shortened at that point. And if you're talking about a long hospital stay, or if you're just stressed out or something like that, and there's only one or two people that you can really rely on, but those one or two people have to go to work or they have to take care of the kids or something like that.
And you're basically by yourself.
Yeah, and that's real hard on your mental health, and you're supposed to try to be healing, but you're stressed out at the same time, and it's not a good combination.
I was coming down from the magnesium, and they were going to move me to a different room. At this point, this room is much smaller. I was reacting well with the magnesium, and the head doctor said, we're going to continue to watch you and see how how you operate, how your body operates. And if you're reacting well, then you can go ahead and go home. Of course, I'll still have, it'll be rules. I can't just go home and be like, all right, y'all, it's rules with me going home. And at this point, this hospital bed is driving me crazy. I want to go on my bed. I want to go home. So then another doctor comes in. I guess she was a resident.
She was a resident. We found out later on.
She comes in and says, "Oh no, you're going to stay here until the baby is ready to be delivered." Now at this point, we're having high hopes. Of course, I'm going to finish out this pregnancy for 40, for the 40-week term, and I'm only at 26 weeks. So we're talking about we're going to finish out this pregnancy. Let's just say at least for 37 weeks. I'm going to be sitting there for at least 9 to 10 weeks. So I got one doctor that came in and said, we're going to continue to watch you. If you're doing good, you can go ahead and go home. I got another doctor that says, oh no, girl, you ain't going nowhere. You staying here until the baby's ready to be born. And I'm just sitting here like, what? So you can just imagine the mental state that me and my husband had to go through to accept the fact that I'm going to have to be in this hospital from September to December. That's a long time to be in the hospital by yourself, and you cannot have visitors except for the one or two people that you put on your list. So we're mentally accepting the fact that we're going to be here for 9 to 10 weeks. So they move us to a smaller room. I'm already looking at this room like, how in the world am I going to last here for 9 to 10 weeks? This is going to be an interesting journey. So he goes home for that day. I'm like, okay, great. You and my mom can switch because last time we checked, those two people were on my list and they can switch off. He's already gone. So my mom comes in because I can only have one person at a time in that room specifically.
And she was on the list.
Right. So she gets there, and then we're driving all the way from Baltimore, and we're doing a 45-minute drive, okay? Mind you. So that she gets there, and they're like, oh, no, ma'am. She can only have one person, and that's it. That's it. Like, no, like, that's it. So it's basically like, because, of course, he's my husband, he was my one person. I basically had to choose doing with my mother here for the rest of the time or doing with my husband here for the rest of the time. Of course, I have to choose my husband. So they was like, yeah, mom, you got to go. And I was not a happy camper, long story short. I was extremely upset. I'm going through it at this point. So I couldn't leave out the area where the hospital rooms were, where my mom was. So basically, I had to wave at her from the the little window that's in the door, and that was the last time I saw my mother.
And again, like none of this is making sense because both me and my mother-in-law were in the room together with my wife when we were in the labor and delivery area.
Because it took me to a smaller room, it's only one
Just
person
one
in there,
person.
which is fine. They can just switch off,
Right.
and the same two people. They're like, nope, that's it.
And it's not even like the room that they moved us to was like in another secluded area.
Mm-mm.
Literally, it was just like
Down
down
the
the hall
hall.
and around the corner. So it wasn't even like we
If
were.
I can go up the hall this way, I can go up the hall that
Right.
way. That doesn't make any
It
sense.
literally made no sense. I mean, again, from the hospital standpoint, they're just trying to limit the amount of contact that they were having. But it's like, okay, cool. You was just in contact with this person though, so it wasn't even like. And if my wife was in labor, she would have came into the room and everything would have been fine. It was so even just from an occupancy standpoint, it would still just be my wife and my mother-in-law in the room. So it really made absolutely no sense that if you remove me from the equation and you add her, like they would look at it different. It's just that's just again like this whole COVID-19 thing. People just have fears and they just start making policies, and it's kind of like it makes sense in your head, but when you do it in practice, it all of a sudden doesn't make any sense anymore. The whole reason why I kind of left was
To
so
get
that
my suitcase.
to get the
of my
suitcase,
stuff.
and I was going to get some real rest.
And I'm still coming down from magnesium, so
Right.
I still need a little bit of help.
And then my mother-in-law, of course, she's gonna want to be there for her daughter, so she was like, "Cool, I'll step in." She also came down one day and sat with my son for me while we was in the hospital because we didn't really know what was going on. He had school at the time, so she was like, "Cool, I'll come to the house and I'll sit with him. That way you can just focus on my daughter." I'm like, "All right, great." So everything was just fluid. Everybody, we basically was making a plan. I was calling people. It's like, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you do that for me? And everybody was like, yeah, just let me know, like whatever you need. So, big ups to the whole family if you got a call during this time for supporting us through that.
Or calling us and texting us to see if we were okay.
Right.
It got very hectic very fast.
Right.
So thank you for everyone that reached out to us and contacted us to see how we were doing and if they can be of any assistance. So we really do appreciate
Yep.
that. Yes.
Um, so the next day after the whole "I'm sorry, mother-in-law, you can't come in and see your daughter" situation.
And you came back to the hospital.
Yeah. We were told that she would be there for the 9 weeks. So I came home and I packed a bag. Me and my wife, we were on FaceTime together. I mean, she was making sure I was packing the right things.
Excuse me.
And I got her, her pillow and all this other different things. We
Yes,
was
it's a
gonna
specific pillow. It's a big pillow.
Bobby pillow for the pregnant women. That,
Buy it.
yeah,
Buy it.
it's like the size of your body.
It's $40. It's okay. You
Yeah,
can do it.
it's
Buy it.
it's amazing. I kind of use it now. But so we got all the things. We got the Bluetooth speaker and everything like that. We came and got her.
I got my work laptop.
Yep.
I got my school laptop.
Mhm.
So
So
I'm doing what I gotta do.
we get all the supplies for this 9 week stay. And of course, we got the family on standby too as well, so that they can help out in any way that they can help out. So we're basically just like, all right, cool. We're gonna rock this out. 9 weeks. It's crazy, but we gotta do it for Laura
Yes.
and I. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
This
Okay.
morning, the head doctor came in and was like, "Yeah, you're reacting well. We're gonna keep you another 24 hours and see how you do. And if everything's good, we're gonna send you home." I said, "Excuse me? That's not. That's. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute, ma'am. They told me yesterday I'm gonna be here for the 9 weeks till my baby's born. Now you're telling me that I'm reacting well. I can go home depending on the situation for 24 hours, depending on the situation. Y'all gonna continue. Which one is it?" And so basically, she told me that what the doctor said wasn't wrong because it's like it's either gonna go two ways. They can send you home with stipulations, or you're gonna be there till the baby's born. It's only gonna go two ways, which is fine. The problem was they didn't. Whatever the doctor says, the head honcho says, that's how it's going to go. The problem is the resident told me the final decision without it being discussed with their team. That was the problem. So I had the head honcho tell me we're gonna watch you. The resident tell me you're gonna be here till the baby's born. Then head honcho comes in and says we're gonna watch you. I'm like, y'all gotta talk to each other because I'm gonna need y'all to all be on the same page. And she was like, I apologize for that because I never made the final decision to say you're gonna be here till the baby's born. Not saying that what the resident said was incorrect because that could happen, but this is we're still on watch, so there's no final decision made. I said, well, y'all need to talk to each other because my whole family is now accepting a 9 week stay in this hospital. I'm gonna need y'all to get it together. So she apologizes and she walks away and discusses it with her team. Now I'm calling my husband back. He's gonna come back the next, that same day, and now we're discussing it. And we're like, okay, what the heck is going on? Now the midwives, even though we were not a part of the program anymore because now I'm a high risk pregnancy at this point. I'm with the OBGYNs. The midwives still came in and checking on us to see how we were doing, which is very considerate and helpful. So we voiced our concerns with them about the doctors not communicating with each other. They also apologized and talked to the teammates as well to basically say, hey, y'all need to get it together. So which we really do appreciate that they still cared about us. So I'm still on a watch. I'm still reacting well. And so they're taking it every 24 hours. They're basically like, okay, you're doing good today. We're gonna take it another day. You're doing good today. We're gonna take it another day. I'm like, okay, great. The bed is starting to hurt me. I'm getting stressed out because I'm tired. I'm ready to go home. So because I'm getting tired and I'm getting stressed out, I'm getting anxious because I want to go home so bad. Now my levels are starting to react to my stress. So we thought. So because I'm stressed out so much, my blood work started to look a little crazy, and my blood pressure started to go up a little more.
Right.
So they're like, okay, to offset this, we're going to up your dosage for your blood pressure medicine. So I'm like, do whatever you got to do to get me home. At this point, I'm getting blood work done twice a day. They would for the magnesium, they would take my blood work every 6 hours. Now at this point, they did my blood work. I believe it was in the morning and in the afternoon. He was taking my blood work while I'm recovering from the magnesium. They're like giving me medicine, blood thinners, blood pressure medicine. They were giving me a lot. There was a lot of needles. It was a lot going on.
She was turning purple and losing.
Yeah,
sticks.
to the point that they couldn't find any other place to put the needles that they were sticking needles in my foot. They were sticking me so much to get blood from me. My veins were done. I was swollen, I was bruised, I was done. My body was done. So them keep telling me, your body's looking good, you can go home. I want to go home. So now we're getting to Tuesday. Tuesday morning. And they're like, okay, if your vitals are okay today, we're gonna go ahead and send you home. Of course, they take my vitals Tuesday morning, and we're talking about Tuesday morning, September 8th. And my vitals are not looking good. My blood work is not looking good. My blood pressure is not good. Now, keep in mind that they upped my blood pressure medicine dosage. So, if my blood pressure was going to be okay, the medicine should have knocked it out and put it back to normal. Honestly, since they upped my dosage, it should have took it lower than normal. But that wasn't the case. It was still high, and they upped my dosage. So they was just like, and so, yeah, you're not going away. And I'm just like, I'm stressed out. I need to go home. I'm tired. I'm tired. Like, I just want to go home. And I'm like, if you just let me go home, get a good night's sleep, maybe my stuff will go back to normal. I'm still thinking I'm a normal person. So I'm just like, I'm stressed. I'm tired. My back hurts. I can't get no sleep. My vitals are going to look crazy. Let me just go home and get some sleep. We can come back tomorrow or Thursday, whatever the case, Thursday, whatever, and we can do this again. But I'm tired. I'm stressed. And it was just like, we're going to run your blood work again.
Because I think at this point, they're like, we had one of the nurses switch the bed that she was sleeping.
Yeah, I got a new bed.
Um, they brought her a heating pad for her back, and it still didn't work. I ended up sleeping in the bed, and she slept in the chair.
And my stuff was still going
yeah,
crazy.
it was still unbearable for her. For any of the dads out there, you may be familiar with the chair in the hospital room that folds out to a bed, basically. Me and her switched. At one point in the middle of the night, the phlebotomist came in to do her blood work, and she got startled because I'm laying in the bed and she's in the chair, and it was like, okay, and I'm like, but she actually slept good that night. Like, that was
not really. No.
it was. I mean, it was better than the bed.
It was better than the bed. Yes, it was better than the bed.
So this is why we were like, when they were saying her blood pressure was again out of whack. This is why we were like, okay, yeah, she's just uncomfortable. Like, this is just crazy. Like, the hospital beds in the room that we were in was basically a gym mat. It wasn't thick at all. It provided no lower back support or nothing. And you add on top of that all of the stress and everything. She wasn't sleeping. They came in, like, she was getting her blood pressure taken every 15 minutes.
Every 15 minutes. And if you get your blood pressure done, I'm pretty sure you adults do. The thing on your arm does not feel good. Right. It's pretty tight.
So it was just, they were trying to get her to rest and recover, and it's just like,
you're coming in 2 hours asking me, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
Leave me alone. just get out my face. To the point where I was getting frustrated because I'm laying in a chair, and I also can't sleep because when she had a catheter in, she couldn't do anything. She was thirsty and all this other stuff, so I had to get up and do all of that stuff for her. So I know I can't sleep, but then when she's finally settled and sleeping for a little while,
literally they come in, hey, Miss So-and-so, we're going to go ahead and take those vitals again. We're going to do an ultrasound, make sure the baby's okay. I'm like, I can feel her kicking.
Yeah,
she's fine. Please. But the thing is, and also on top of that, they were still checking to make sure I was okay from the it was literally groups of people from different departments checking my vitals over and over and over and over and over again, like every 1 to 2 hours, if that much. Sometimes it'll be every 30 minutes. And I'm just like, people, like, I need sleep. They're asking me, am I getting any sleep? I'm not getting any sleep because you're bothering me. So we Tuesday morning, we're basically begging them to let us go home so I can go to sleep. And so they're like, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take your blood work again. And if your blood work is something, if it's okay and it is just stress, we're going to go ahead and send you home and let you go to sleep. Blood work look a little crazy, then you may have to stay. Now, of course, they can't make you do anything that you do not want to do. It is still up to your discretion what you would like to do. But, of course, I'm not going to be stupid and go home and, my stuff is looking crazy. I'm not going to do that. That's just stupid. But as a human, I can do what I want to do, technically. So don't want anybody to think that they're holding us against our will, because that's not the case. So I'm like, all right, what I'm going to do is if my blood work comes back crazy, my vitals are not looking good blood work-wise, I'm going to go ahead and do this 9-week study. So my blood work, of course, came back crazy. And I'm just like, all right, obviously I'm stressed. but it's still the preeclampsia. So we're just gonna have to do this. This 9 week stay is what we're gonna do. So we accept the situation, and he goes home. Wednesday morning, September 9th, 2020. So now I am, since we all have accepted that fact that, we're going to be here for 9 weeks or however long it takes for Naya to be born, I'm like, all right, I gotta get back to work. I mean, I'm sitting here anyway, and I'm on the computer, I'm on the laptop doing work. I can, I'm in the hospital, but I can still do work at the same time. So I thought. So I'm trying to sign into work, and get my work done, and can't do that because everyone's still bothering me. Everyone's still coming in the morning, taking my blood pressure, getting ultrasound for Anaya, getting my vitals, getting blood work done. They still bothering me. I'm just like, y'all, I'm just trying to get work done. On top of that, I asked for a physical therapist to come in because I'm thinking I'm going to be here for 9 weeks. My back hurts. They did all they can do for this bed. Now I'm going to have to figure out exercises around this room to make the situation work. So they took my blood work. They took the blood pressure, and at this point, my blood pressure was still pretty high, but it was okay. It was the usual. So the physical therapist comes into the room, and she shows me exercises. She rubs my back for me. It was the best massage I have ever received in my life. It's different when you get a massage from like your husband. I appreciate you, thank you. But it's different when you get a massage from a professional. Okay, that massage was the best thing. I cried. I was like, my God, thank you. You don't understand what you just did for my spirit. Thank you so much. And she showed me exercises, and how to like move my back around, make sure I get circulation in my legs, my arms. I got to keep moving in this room because I can't walk up and down the hallways too much because COVID's a lot of that COVID going on. So I can't really go anywhere. So I got to make this room work for me. So she just leaves me, and mind you, I only got maybe 3 or 4 tasks done at work. And they come back in and say, Miss So and So, my nurse came in. She said, Miss So and So, your blood, we gotta take it again. Something ain't right. Something didn't come out right. Now, in my 28 years of life, I never heard someone say we gotta take your blood work again because it didn't come out right. I'm just like, what you mean it didn't come out right? It's blood. She said something happened. It didn't come out right. We gotta do it again. What? You gotta do it again? I'm over it. Whatever, do what you gotta do. They take it again. Cool. Trying to get my work done. Next thing I know, the group of residents rushing. I mean, they're rushing in my room. They're like, Miss So and So, your blood work came back. Your blood platelets are low, and they're basically looking at me like, we need to take Anaya now. And any type of strength, any type of mental stability that I had left in me, because mind you, at this point we've working on week 5 or 6 of people sticking me and pulling me and doing anything and everything to me. And so at this point, when they saying we got to take her now, anything I had left in me was gone. I just broke down and cried. Like any type of strength was done. I was done, and I'm just trying to finish my work. We're talking about it's about 12 in the afternoon on Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. And so my mind doesn't understand, can't comprehend. They're like, we need to take the baby now, shut it down, we need to do what we got to do. So I'm like, let me call my husband. I need to call my husband. I need to call my husband. They're looking at me like, girl, you ain't calling nobody. We need to do what we need to do. You're going to wait, and you're going to let me call my husband. So I'm calling. He's asleep. I'm like, babe, I need you to come to the hospital now. I'm crying, hysterically crying. And he, hello, like he's just so like out of it. And I'm just like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Get here now. So I'm calling my mother. I'm crying. My mother is trying to keep it together because on top of that, she's a school teacher. So she's trying to teach kids virtually, and I'm crying because I'm about to have her grandchild, and she had to like kind of keep it cool, but without freaking out. It was an interesting experience. So I had to, because I had confidential stuff, I had to lock everything down. Confidential stuff for work, I had to close everything down, and I had to go to the bathroom. They looking at me like, Miss So and So, you need to come on. I said, I gotta pee, okay? I need to put my stuff away for work. Give me 5 minutes. I'm not going to die in 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. Please.
They were swearing that she was.
They was like, girl, you going to die right now.
So,
I'm like, let me pee. Can I pee?
for those that don't know, blood platelets is basically what keeps your blood. Um, when you bleed, blood platelets kind of help your blood to clot. Without platelets, your blood can start oozing out of your eyes and ears and stuff like that because it'll just become like water. So because her blood platelets were low, they were scared um, that that would happen, and that's the reason why they kind of turned it up on 1,000.
And at this point, they had diagnosed me with HELLP syndrome. HELLP syndrome, I could die from. I could die and baby could die. So I'm like hysterically crying. I'm at this point having an anxiety attack. I'm begging to, can we wait till my husband gets here? You know, I have to pee. I gotta put my stuff away from work. I'm having an anxiety attack at this point. And one of the residents was just like, okay, he saw that I was losing my shit. In a few lack of words, I was losing my shit. And the doctor was like, okay, let's go ahead and take your blood work again. Let's just make sure it's not wrong. Let's go ahead and take it again. And if your blood work says the same exact thing, then we're going to go ahead and move forward. I said, I'll take that because I was doing all that I could do to keep that girl inside of me. I couldn't believe it was happening. So I'm like, take your blood work again, please. Let's just make sure y'all are right.
So while all of this was going on,
yeah. Mind you, I called him screaming, telling him to come on.
Right. So I was up late, working, doing what I got to do, my own business. So my hours are flexible for whatever. So I was up late. She called me, woke me up. I was like, okay, let me go take a shower because I knew this was probably going to be the last shower I was able to take for the next 36 hours, maybe 48 hours, depending on how this goes. And I was like, all right, let me take a shower. Did that, got out the shower, jumped in the car, and I got to get gas. So while I'm at the gas station, my best friend calls me, and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, rushing to the hospital, got to get there as soon as possible. I'm about to fuck 495 up. So she knows me well enough to know she ain't going to be able to convince me not to do it. So she just told me to be safe and finish pumping my gas and about to fuck 495 up. And the Most High knew exactly what he was doing, and he it made it start raining. So now I'm frustrated because I really can't drive the way I want to drive because it's raining and traffic's coming out of nowhere because everybody is driving more cautiously because it's raining. But that gave me time to clear my head and get my emotions and everything together, because if I had gotten to the hospital as fast as I wanted to get to the hospital, my energy would have been jacked up. My wife would have felt it. She was already panicking and freaking out, so I would have probably just made the situation worse. But because it rained, I had to take my time. I had to slow down, get myself together, and then that way, by the time I got to the hospital, I had to park the car and everything. Of course, I'm not even thinking to knock on the door to the hospital room. I just barge in, and right when I walk in, my wife is getting another catheter. So she's open, and I'm like, everybody else is like, who's that just walking in? And I'm like, oh,
the person
hey.
that did this to me.
I'm like, hey. So they were like, we've been waiting for you to get here, and I'm like, well, had some things to do, and then it was raining, and they didn't, because of where they were in the hospital, they didn't know it was raining. There was a window, but you couldn't really see that it was raining outside.
So they were basically preparing me for surgery and waiting for him to get there. They were waiting for my blood work to come back for the third time. They were still preparing me because if everything said what it said the second time, then I was going to go in. Worst case scenario, they just got to pull the catheter out. They got to pull the IVs out. They just got to not pull the IVs out, but put me back in my bed.
Right.
Worst case scenario. But they were preparing me for what the inevitable was going to be. Mm-hmm. And so, by the time that he came in and kissed me on my forehead, at the same time, they tell me, Miss So-and-so, your blood work for the third time said what it said, we going in for surgery. I'm losing my shit. I've never had major surgery in my life. The most I've had was my wisdom teeth taken out. So this is a lot for me. I'm on the phone crying with my mother. I'm scared. She says a prayer with me, and I'm still scared. So one of the midwives, Erin, she came in, and she was also the midwife that originally caught something in the beginning when the cuff and stuff, my blood pressure readings was going crazy. She was the original midwife to catch it in the beginning. So she came in and was like, Miss So and So, I'm here. Basically, all the nurses, all the OBs, everybody that came from different departments, they were all very supportive. They were very supportive. We had Erin, the midwife, holding my hand during this time because my husband couldn't be in the operating room with me. So, um,
And the reason for that was because they couldn't put her under local anesthesia. They had
the
to put her,
regular way through the back, they couldn't
yeah.
do it that way because Anaya was so small. I had to go all the way under there to put the breathing mask on me and put me all the way under.
Mm.
Because Anaya was so small, and because I had HELLP syndrome to stop me from bleeding, they cut me a certain way so that now going forward, if I want to have children again, I'm going to have a C-section. Yay. So, um, Aaron's holding my hand, just walking me through it. And, to keep me calm, all I did was just look at her. I didn't look at everything going around me. I just basically just looked at her because that was like a little bit of hope that I had right there because, anytime you have major surgery, there's a possibility that you could die. That's the reality of the situation. And, um, since my husband couldn't be in there with me, all I had was her. And so I relied on her so much mentally to get me through it. And the last thing I remember is the anesthesiologist putting the mask over me. She's like, Taryn, go ahead and take a deep breath for me. She said, you're going to feel some hot air in your throat, but just go and take a deep breath for me. I'm scared. I'm like, is this medicine really going to put me to sleep? Am I going to feel something? Everything that a person would think of going into major surgery, I thought about. And the last thing I remember, I took in a deep breath of hot air, and I said, oh, I don't like that. And that's how I remember. Now the next day I wake up and I'm in this room, cold, shivering, and I wake up and I see him sitting in the chair. So
So
I don't know what happens after that. So what happens from there?
so after they take my wife away into the OR, Erin, she lets me know that she'll make sure the nurses or a doctor or somebody comes out every few minutes to give me an update. And she would also let me know exactly when Anaya is born, so I can just be, even though I can't be in the room, at least I'll kind of know what's going on in the room. Um, and she actually made sure that it happened. I could tell that the nurse or the doctor, whoever it was that came out and gave me the information, I could tell that they didn't want to because they felt like they had other stuff to do. But Erin basically made them come out and do it because she understood this wasn't normal by any means, especially from my experience. Um, and again, just thinking logically, um, Erin is a midwife. You know, she had no reason to be in that room at all. She wasn't medically necessary. So if she can stand in there and hold my wife's hand, how come I can't stand in there? If Erin had to scrub in, if Erin had to scrub in and put on a gown and do all this other stuff that you normally have to do anyway, if you're going through a C-section, you normally have to do all of that stuff anyway. How come I couldn't do it? So that's all I was thinking about. So kind of in the back of my mind, when those doctors and those nurses were coming out and giving me updates, I was kind of looking at them like, you know, you just need to do your job. Like your job right now is to inform me about what's going on with my family. Um, so they came out, and then the third time, it was either the third or fourth time somebody came and got an update. I was thinking I was just going to get another update, but they actually came and got me and took me over to the post-op recovery area. And I waited there for another 10 minutes. They said that Anaya had just been taken out. They're getting her ready. And the nurse did say that um, they were happy because when Anaya was first came out, that steroid shot,
That's good for seven
that's
days.
good for 7 days now, was really working because Anaya, at 26 weeks, she was trying to breathe on her own, and like the reflex to breathe was there, which gave them a lot of hope because that meant she was in that 90% that of babies that survive at 26 weeks. Um, Her lungs weren't capable of doing it, but the simple fact that she knew she was supposed to on some subconscious level meant that she was going to be okay. So I was like, all right, cool. They said they're gonna work on her, and then they're gonna take Anaya over to the NICU, and before they take her over there, I was gonna be able to take some pictures and just to see her for a second. But they was like, you're only gonna get probably a minute because we gotta move her. And I was like, all right, cool. Um, so that happened, and then after that happened, another nurse came over and said that your wife is fine. She did bleed a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. Um, and they're just working on her and getting her back ready. Her blood pressure did dip a little bit low because of the blood loss and because of all the medication. She still had a little bit of magnesium in her system and stuff, so her blood pressure did go kind of low, but she was okay. She was coming back up, and then they'll work on her, close her up and everything, and then they'll bring her back out. So another 10, 15 minutes went by. My wife comes back out. She's still out of it.
So keep in mind that they came in at 12 o'clock and said, it's so and so, we got to take the baby. Anaya was born at 1:42 p.m.
Right.
So all this happened within an hour and 42 minutes.
Yeah. Of her being put to sleep and being brought back out. All the drugs. Then
Sewn back up.
They put her back on magnesium because they were worried that her blood pressure was going to skyrocket again because of the HELP syndrome, basically. So it was still just a lot going on. Um, so the nurses were trying to explain certain things. Come to find out, the doctors had ordered a certain amount and certain types of pain meds for my wife. And I guess in the chaos of everything, they forgot to give all of the pain medication.
They gave me the pain medication after the surgery, the initial surgery.
Right.
Then after that, after that magnesium and
else.
stuff, that's when they were supposed to give me all more pain meds and
Right.
stuff.
So she was experiencing. So my wife had the I forget. I don't know what the type of medication, but it is. But she was hooked up to a machine where she could medicate herself whenever she.
Yes. It starts with a dopamine, not dope. It starts with a D. It starts with a D. I can press a button to get injection.
Right.
I had an IV in me, so it just went up.
It was just right.
Get itself together.
So she was hooked up to that.
But they did that only if I couldn't take what they originally gave me. If that wasn't helping me out, then they was gonna give me the next medicine.
Yeah.
But I was like, I just had major surgery. It's not gonna feel good.
Yeah.
So the medicine itself, I wasn't. It hurt. I just had surgery, but it wasn't like. I wasn't dying. So I'm just like, this is cool, And so once I got off of the magnesium, once I got off of that medicine, I starts with a D. I can't remember the name of it. That's when they were supposed to actually give me oxy. Tylenol, that next medication, they're supposed to give me that. Of course, something happened with the communication with the prescription department and my nurses, and something happened. So at this point, I'm just like I said, I never had major surgery before, so I'm just like, major surgery is going to hurt. That's what's going to happen. But the level of hurting, I didn't know what to be. There was no level that I knew to say, oh, okay, something's not right. This kind of hurts. There's something for me to know that. I didn't know.
Because they asked her, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is it? And she said, like, a 7 or 8.
Because I just had major surgery. I ain't going to be like, I'm dying. Ooh, it's major surgery.
And so I noticed that when she said that, the nurse kind of looked at her, and that's when we found out that she was supposed to be on other meds. Because the nurse was like, it shouldn't be a 7 or 8. So the nurse went and started asking questions to the doctors. So she was supposed to be on IV meds after a certain point. In addition to, and then at that point, they were supposed to take away the little button that she pushes for medication, and she was supposed to be put on IV meds. And then she was also supposed to have the option of getting like Tylenol and Oxy and stuff if she needed it.
But they never gave me the IV meds.
They never gave the IV meds.
Next new one of IV
right.
meds. They never gave it to me.
So a nurse asked her a question, what is your pain level? And she said like a 7 or an 8. And because we were past a certain window, that nurse went and started asking questions. And then basically all these doctors came in, and that's when they finally gave her the IV meds that she was supposed to get, because Um, I don't know. I mean, I understand that they were worried about all the different interactions between because she was on, magnesium and all this other crazy stuff. I understand that they didn't want to give her too much at once. That lack of communication again from one department to another. I mean, the orders were in the system, it just didn't actually get executed. So, however that was supposed to happen at that point, I mean, it's a good thing. I'm not complaining because that one nurse, because she asked the question, that's when everything happened. So I guess that question should have been asked maybe a little bit earlier or something.
At this point, it's all I need all my nurses with me. I need people to help me walk around. I needed a bath. The nurses actually stripped me down and wiped me down. I've never experienced that before in my life. That's crazy. But
Shout out
they
to
did
y'all
it.
nurses. Y'all
Woo!
nurses.
Because I was apologizing. I was like, we about to get real personal. I mean, they was getting personal. So I'm just like, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's what they get paid for. So shout out to you guys. Nurses have one of the hardest jobs in America. So shout out to the nurses, definitely. Really around the world. So shout out to nurses. You guys are amazing. Um, so at this point now I'm taken to another room, a new room. At this point, this is the room for me to recover to go home because now I've had Anaya, and this is the room for me to go home.
Postpartum.
Yes, postpartum room. And every I have to go to the bathroom because now the catheter's out of me, everything's out of me, I do everything on my own. So I'm going to the bathroom every hour and a half at this point, and because I just had major surgery, I need help walking to the bathroom, not going to the bathroom, but walking to the bathroom and getting cleaned up after using the bathroom because I can't just go in and wipe myself real quick. I can't do that. So I'm calling a nurse every hour and a half to go to the bathroom. And at this point, it's irritating me. I'm tired of calling the nurses. I'm tired of asking for help. I want to do this on my own. Now, mind you, they think I'm on pain meds, but I've been off of pain meds at this point for 8 to 9 hours. Of course, I don't realize this
The
because
IV. She's off the IV.
I'm off the IV. At this point, I should have got pills at this point. But
Right.
of course, I didn't know this. Why should I know this? I'm the patient. They're the nurses and the doctors. They need, they should be doing their jobs to realize to recognize what I'm supposed to be getting, when I'm supposed to be getting it.
So again, it was ordered. It just didn't go all
Get
the way through.
executed. So at this point, I'm calling a nurse. I'm moving around, getting wiped down and stuff like that. Really, at this point, not on no medication, and I don't know it. So, because everything hurts. Like I said, I just had major surgery. I'm not going to feel good. So I accepted the pain because I just had major surgery. So I'm tired of calling nurses to go to the bathroom every hour and a half. I'm getting sick of it. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Let's do this. Let's do it. I had to do this myself. And my mind was like, girl, get up. And I used the bed to push myself up, maneuver myself the way I needed to maneuver myself. I got out the bed and I went to the bathroom. I used everything that I could hold myself up on. And, but I had the willpower to get out that bed and go to the bathroom. Because since I had to go to the bathroom every hour and a half, to wait for a nurse, you're about to pee on yourself because you're waiting for somebody to come help you. No, I'm a grown woman. I can do this. I can do it, and I did it. I did it. And from that moment on, I was doing it. I was getting out that bed, and I was peeing, moving slow as hell, but I did it. I did it. And my next nurse was like, "All right, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna help you, but you're gonna be doing the moving around. You're gonna move." I'm like, "That's fine. Move me around. Get me out of here. Do what you gotta do." Then that's when she realized it. She was like, "Miss So and So, did you get your pills?" I said, "What pills?" She's like, "You didn't get your medicine?" I said, "What are we talking about?" And long story short, we found out that I'm basically been moving around and doing all this stuff, going to the bathroom, getting wiped down, doing all this stuff without any pain medication. So I thought to myself, you know what, you're badass. I'm badass. Why? Because I did all of this stuff after having major surgery and I don't have not one piece of medication in my system. If I can deal with this amount of pain to go to the bathroom and wipe myself and do all the stuff I need to do, then I can do it with medication. If this is the max amount of pain that I can experience, then this is going to be a breeze. I can do it now. So that's exactly what happened. They gave me the medication. They gave me Oxy. They gave me Tylenol and Motrin. Motrin. And I was good. We were good. And that's when now it's time for me to go see. They're like, "Oh, have you seen Anaya? Have you seen Anaya? Have you been to the NICU and stuff like that?" Now, In my mind, because they just snatched my baby out of my stomach. Anaya was still in my stomach. In my mind, Anaya was still in my stomach. So when they were saying, "Did you go see your child?" It wasn't registering in my head that she was in another department, like she wasn't in me anymore. It just wouldn't register in my mind. I couldn't understand. So
She's not supposed to be anywhere else. She's only 26, 27 weeks at this point.
yeah, 27 weeks at this
Yeah,
point.
because this is Friday.
Mhm.
So 27 weeks, she's
Yep.
still supposed to be in
In
the
my stomach.
uterus, chilling, cooking, as we've been saying.
Mhm.
So it just doesn't click.
Yeah,
It's not
I
supposed to.
was mentally like it just wasn't. I wasn't getting it. So after I got my medication, um, I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and y'all roll me to the NICU. They roll me to the NICU, and they're like, you got to scrub in. I'm just like, wait. So I scrub in, and they roll me over to her, and I just see this little thing with this blue light on for her skin and everything, and I just couldn't understand the fact that she was in there. I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get it, and
The blue light is to help for jaundice, which
the
is liver
yellow,
failure.
yeah.
Um, again, she's still cooking. She's only 27 weeks, so her body is working, but it's not to help her body not have to work as hard. They're just doing certain things, so it's real weird. I'm actually going to put a video of what the blue light treatment looks like, because it's real weird, and they don't really explain exactly what it is. You just kind of just like walk up on your child
And this
in
blue light special.
this oven looking thing, and you're
It was
just
hot.
like,
It was hot in there. So I just couldn't understand what this little thing was. Like I was still having a problem registering it, and I was crying. And so a nurse named Maddie, she was being there for me, um, consoling me, and I was just crying because I just couldn't understand. I just couldn't understand why she was inside my stomach. Like this is not my child. My child is in my stomach, and my mental brain was not okay. And on top of that, I'm still dealing with pregnancy hormones. So my normal hormones, and my pregnancy hormones were like starting to intertwine with one another, and I was all over the place. And eventually, I went back to my room, and I'm still healing. So the next day, this is now Saturday. Saturday, I see her in NICU, and I do much better. I just look at her and I'm starting to get it a little bit. Like that's my child. Um, so I just see her that day, and I just was like sleeping and chilling that whole day. Um, and and I'm walking around. I'm doing a lot of walking around. Not too much that I hurt myself, but just enough so that I can get the hell up out of there. So I'm walking around and trying to get movement and everything like that. And the nurse that I had the same nurse, the same nurse that told me I'm going to get you up, I'm going to get you moving, I'm going to help you, but you're going to be doing the most movement. I had her basically the rest of the time that I was recovering. So she pushed me to basically be able to go home. So shout out to her, I can't remember her name, but she pushed me to be able to go home. So I was basically just working on trying to get home on Saturday. I see Anaya and Aniki on Saturday. Now Sunday, I'm moving around. They like, okay, have you farted? Have you taken a stool? I didn't take a stool yet, but I had farted. They're like, okay, cool, you passed that. I guess before you can go home after surgery, you have to either fart or poop. And I didn't poop yet, but I did fart. So they was like, all right, cool, you good with that? So I'm moving around. I was good with that. My incision looked good. Um, my blood pressure looked good. They still kept me on blood pressure medication on my way home. But they was just like, we're going to put you on pain meds. We're going to give you blood pressure medication. And you're basically good to go. We're going to go ahead and discharge you today. You're good. So I was so ready to go home because the bed was driving me crazy. But I forgot I'm not going home with my child. I was so excited to go home. I'm like, but wait, I can't take my prized possession with me. And yeah, like I'm leaving something. I forgot. Wait, I can't take my present with me. So, um, they're like, all right, Miss So and So, you're discharged. You're good to go. I call him and tell him, they discharged me. Come get me. And then I realized I had to go see Anaya in the NICU for the last time while I'm in the hospital. Of course, not the last time ever, but like while I'm in the hospital. And that's probably the hardest things I had to experience ever in my life. My 28 years life. Um, it feels you feel empty. You feel anxious because you have to trust people to take care of your child. You're also feeling guilty as hell. You're feeling guilty because you're just asking yourself, why didn't I do what I was supposed to do? I have one job and I couldn't even do that. Look what I did to this little person. Um, yeah, it's
Unnatural.
yeah.
Unnatural.
Um, so that was a major struggle for me. And everyone was trying to console me and talk to me and stuff like that. But I just wanted to be in a bubble. I didn't want anyone to talk to me. I didn't want anyone to say anything to me. Um, I could hardly walk, mind you. I just had surgery, so I had to walk. It was like a walk of shame. That's what it felt like, a walk of shame a little bit. To walk back to my room to pack up my stuff, but leave my child there. And everyone was, talking to me while I was walking to the room. Nurses were trying to talk to me, and all I had was tunnel vision. I couldn't talk. I just couldn't talk. And it was like I was doing the ugly cry, like the snot flying everywhere, and it was just a mess. But Going home, and any NICU mom that has felt this, you understand what I'm saying. Um, that drive home from the hospital, I couldn't talk, I couldn't think, I could hardly breathe. Um, and when I came home, all I did, struggle to get into bed. All I could do was just ball up just ball up and just cry. Um, that was all that I could do at that moment. And I got no sleep that night. I experienced that I did suffer from PTSD for the next couple of days coming home from the hospital. I did suffer from that. As in, like, I was having hallucinations. I was seeing stuff. I wasn't getting any sleep. Sometimes I still do have hallucinations while I'm like sleeping. I do see stuff sometimes, so I suffer a little bit from PTSD from the whole experience. Um, but yeah, that is leaving hospital B.
So, thank you all, of course, for getting this far in our second vlog of our pregnancy journey. Um, there's more to come, so we hope that you like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Um, the next video will be about our NICU experience thus far. Um, it's been very emotional, very trying. Um, so we hope that you come back